It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
And welcome into another edition of Musso at the box. LSU, they are on the road in Como facing the Missouri Tigers. LSU looking to finally break through. The second half of SEC play starts right now. We've talked about the second half of SEC play for this LSU team for a long time. Anytime we've mentioned this club, that has been part of the conversation, whether it was preseason, whether it was pre-conference, whether it has been through this just dreadful stretch that they're in through the first half of conference play. All eyes have been on the second half of the SEC season, and that gets started now. And it is with a very winnable series, but a series that will not be without tipping points, a series that will not be without great emphasis in certain areas of the ball game for LSU, and a series that isn't without flaw if you're looking for an angle where LSU might struggle. Missouri does a few things well that have given LSU issues so far this season and definitely through the first half of conference play. We'll go through it all. We'll give you the overview of both the series and Missouri, and then, of course, we'll dive deep, starting pitching matchups, all of that here to come. LSU, this is your chance to turn it around if you're the purple and gold Tigers, and let's talk about how they do it. Y'all smash the like button if you have not already. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already, and get subscribed up on your favorite podcast app. Say it often, y'all. Look, if you listen to it on the podcast app, you can still subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're YouTube, still go get subscribed up on the podcast app. Take us wherever you go. I mean, take Musso at the box with you. We cover it wall to wall. It'd be great to have it at all times, and all of that is greatly appreciated. All right, series overview. LSU comes into it 23-15 overall, 3-12 in the SEC. Missouri, the homestanding Tigers in this one, 17-21 overall, 5-10 in the league under first-year head coach Carrick Jackson, of course, who everyone here should be very familiar with from his time on the Bluff at Southern. LSU leads the all-time series with Missouri 18-3. Series began in 1986. Most recent meeting was in Jay Johnson's first year, 2022. LSU swept 3 games from Missouri in Baton Rouge. When you look at Missouri overall as a club, statistically, not a lot to write home about on offense. Missouri hits .252 overall on the season as a ball club. That is 14th in the SEC. They have one 300 hitter in the everyday lineup. Not an overly powerful team. They do run. We'll get into that a little bit more when we focus deeper on the pitching staff for Missouri. Overall on the season, it's an ERA of 5.5. Little less than a strikeout per inning for this ball club as well. And then in the field, Missouri fielding at a .973 clip overall, which is also towards the bottom of the league. All right, that completes your overview of it. Let's dive into your pitching matchups. No change in the rotation for LSU this week. They're running it back the exact same. So in game number 1, that will be lefty Gage Jump going for LSU. This will be appearance 10, start 9 for Jump. He is 2-1 with a 4.79 ERA, 35 2/3 innings, 15 walks, 43 punch-outs, and the opponent hits just .229 off of Gage Jump. When you look at his start last week against Tennessee, there was a lot of good, there was some not so good, and there was a whole hell of a lot of battle and toughness from the UCLA transfer. You're looking to see that a little bit more, right? The walk number crept back up a little bit. I credit Tennessee for a lot of that. They are an elite lineup at working counts. They're just a great offensive team. I thought Gage Jump battled really hard. His defense let him down a little bit, but you also had the big play from Ashton Larson to help him escape a jam. So it was a great battle from him. He got LSU off to a really good start, gave them a chance to win that ball game. That's all you're asking for. So continue to watch him build upon that is what you're looking for. We've come out of the last 2 starts from Gage Jump, looking at both of them saying he battled hard, and we were able to take some positives from both, whether it was the no walks against Vanderbilt and or in the pitching around trouble a little bit against a really tough lineup in Tennessee. How can he put that all together against a lineup that struggles in Missouri? That will definitely be something to watch. But I like the move, keeping Jump Holman in this order, and I'll explain on that momentarily. For Missouri, it will be sophomore righty Logan Lunsford. Lunsford on the season for Mizzou. This will be appearance 10, start 10. He is 1-2 with an ERA of 6.13, 39 2/3 innings pitched, 11 walks, 35 strikeouts. The opponent hitting .275 off of the Mizzou righty. Best outing of the year for him was against the Florida Gators. Man, he was locked in that night. 6 shutout against that lineup and struck out 8. Only gave up 1 hit. I mean, he was nails. Going back, looking at that start a little bit, the fastball played well for Lunsford there. It looks like it's got some pretty good carry to it. Looks like it plays very, very strong up in the zone. And then the breaking ball is sharp. The action, his shape on his breaking ball reminded me a lot of Will McIntyre from Arkansas. Just that sharp down, a lot of depth to it, good over the top. Now, the thing I'll say about it, kind of again going back watching that Florida game, had some issues with feel for it. It got away from him a few times, but man, when he had it, it was a devastating out pitch. So that's kind of what you're looking at with Lunsford. Every other opponent, except for Purdue Fort Wayne, has scored at least 3 runs on Lunsford. So there is opportunity. The ERA is about a full 2 runs lower in conference play. So that shows you he's been a little hotter here as of late. But overall in the year, again, it's over 6. And less, more innings pitched than strikeout tells you it's not super overpowering. He's going to look for a lot of weak contact as well. The season high in strikeouts for Lunsford is that 8 against the Florida Gators. So that was a great start, and that's who LSU will take their swings against on Friday night. Moving to game number 2, obviously for LSU, that's going to be junior righty Luke Holman. It'll be appearance 10, start 10 for Holman, 6-2 with a 2.15 ERA, 50 1/3 innings pitched. He's punched out 75 and walked just 16. The opponent hitting a minuscule 167 off of the Alabama transfer, Holman. I mean, y'all, we called for it last week. Wanted to see Luke Holman look like the true ace on the road. And he did. 5 1/3, no-hit innings against arguably the best offense in the nation, for sure the best offense in the SEC on the road in a tiny ballpark. It stunk. He got tagged with a tough luck loss in that one. LSU's offense was just nowhere to be found. But that is what you wanted to see from Luke Holman. I mean, maybe you would have loved to have seen him be able to get deeper into the game, but the guy threw 5 1/3 no-hit innings against that offense. I will take that. Like, for me sitting here saying he had the black eye, of 10 hits on the road at State, he had the black eye of 5 leadoff men and 5 walks at Arkansas. I want to see him be the ace on the road. He was that against Tennessee. Now, can he follow it up again here? I have really no reason to think otherwise. Como is not a very tough place to play, if we're just being honest. It's not. But it's still, an unfamiliar environment. But that gave me a lot more confidence looking at him last week doing that going forward with him pitching away from Alex Box Stadium. For Missouri on the bump, this is going to be an interesting one. It is junior lefty Javen Pimental, Arizona transfer. So Jay Johnson, quite familiar with Pimental, played for him, it pitched for him, I should say, in Jay's last year over there in Arizona. For Pimental, it'll be appearance 9, start 8. He is 1-2 with an ERA of 4.0, 36 innings pitched, 11 walks, 39 punch-outs. The opponent hitting .219 off of the Mizzou lefty. This is going to be a really interesting day to watch LSU build the lineup because going back, looking at some stuff with Pimentel, it looks like a very uncomfortable at bat for left-handers. So you've seen LSU really stack the lineup heavy righty when facing a lefty. Like, it's been to the level that either Josh Pearson or Ashton Larson has been the only left-handed hitter. You've seen Milazzo or Travinsky catch that day, or you see Milazzo catch and Travinsky DH that day. They've just stacked it. I expect them to do that again when they face Pimentel. And I like that Jay is familiar with him, so much so that he coached the guy. It's a funky arm angle from the left side. Fastball, get up to about 90 miles an hour. The curveball is a really, really good pitch from Pimentel as well. And he held down that Florida lineup quite nicely, as well as Mizzou, of course, got that sweep. So that's kind of what you're looking for there with Pimentel. For LSU, TBA. For Mizzou, TBA when you look at game number 3. Missouri, in all but one of their SEC series, Carter Rustad has been the third starter, maybe not always pitching in that game 3 spot, but he's been the third man in the rotation. He was not in the Florida series. He was first out of the bullpen. So, look, Missouri and LSU, they're kind of going to be in similar situations. This is a big weekend for both teams. They both need this series win, obviously. These are two teams, as frustrating as it is to say from an LSU perspective, that are going to be competing against each other, not only to fight to get into the SEC tournament, but ultimately for more. It's just not normally a place you see LSU at, down at the bottom of the league. No disrespect to Missouri, but they normally live down at the bottom of the league. So this is going to be massive. So when you look at both these teams, they're not going to pull any punches early. Like, they're going to go all in to win these first 2 games, and you will throw, whichever guys you have left on Sunday in order to go. So it'll be interesting to see how each team manages, but I would expect a lot of top arms out of the bullpen from both squads. So those are your pitching matchups. I did say I like the move, keeping Jump and Holman in this order. I think it's easy to be like, why? It didn't work. You didn't win a game last week. That's fair. I mean, yes, you're correct. Fair. It also was not all their fault. Luke Holman had a no-hitter through 5 and a third inning. Gage Jump, forgive me, I don't have the score in front of me, but I mean, that was a 2-run ball game when he left. Like, you're right there in it. Right there in it. He got charged with the rest of those runs, but again, defense, that was crap. But anyway, when he left and went to the dugout, it was a 2-run game. This is one reason I like it. If you're looking to win series down the stretch, Gage Jump seems to have continued to progress here throughout the season. Like, the starts are getting better, and that's a good thing. And look, the more innings he gets under his belt, the further he gets removed from, pitching, the surgery and rehab, and he's back on the regular routine. The more and more he goes, the better he will get. I can tell you what this kind of can remind you of, because it's what it reminds me of, and this worked pretty darn good. Now, I get it. These teams are completely different. Like, understood. These teams are different. But you'll remember when Jared Poche was here, a lot of the time Jared Poche would pitch game number 1, and Alex Lang, who was the ace of those LSU teams, pitched second. And you won a lot of series that way. Like, in the 2017 season, when LSU played for national championship, that's how that started out. Like, Poche started the season Friday night. Lang was your number 2. And I'm not, diminishing Jared Poche. Jared Poche is the all-time wins leader at LSU. He's a very good pitcher. But Alex Lang is entering year, 4 or 5 with the Detroit Tigers now? Like, he was your ace. Gage Jump's very good. Gage Jump's going to be a very early round draft pick. So is Luke Holman. But Holman has been your more leaned-on, veteran, experienced guy. It kind of reminds me of that dynamic you had with Poche and Lang. Again, I'm not saying LSU's going to play for a national championship this year. Far from it, actually, at this point. They'd have to go on a heck of a run. But if you're looking to make hay down the back end, I think this is a combination that could work, especially as Gage Jump continues to take more strides. And Luke Holman, if he can stay as steady as he's been, you're going to have a shot in all of these series. So that's a good thing for LSU. Let's dive a little bit deeper into Missouri. So I mentioned there's a few things to really highlight with this ball club in these matchups. We gave you the overall offensive numbers from Missouri, and it wasn't great. It's worse in conference play. Like, if you think LSU's offense has been dreadful in conference play, wait until you hear these stats of Missouri. Missouri is 14th in the league in team batting average in conference play at 203. They are hitting just above the Mendoza line as a team in conference play. They are averaging a little over 3 runs per game in conference play. LSU is hitting a full 50 points higher than Mizzou in conference play. Now, the run production, not nearly as great of a difference. LSU is only averaging about a full run higher. So LSU's at 4 runs, which isn't great. But this is going to be a series that needs to be won on the mound. And I think you could look at that and go, okay, that should favor LSU, right? We've talked so much about the talent and potential on the mound. And when you look at guys like Sam Dutton and Aiden Moffitt and Cam Johnson really developing and taking on more of a weekend role, I think that only kind of, gives you a little bit more confidence. But I will say this, Missouri has been very good in a certain situation that LSU has not. All 5 of Missouri's conference wins have been 1-run victories. All 5 of them. They've been able to win that close game. When the game is hung in the balance, they've been able to make the play to do it. That's something LSU has not been able to do. When you look at the rest of Missouri's losses outside of those 6 1-run games, they've all been, I believe, let's see, I think it's, okay, I'm sorry. I thought it was by 3 or more. It is not by 3 or more, so ignore that. But whenever Mizzou has been in ball games, the Vanderbilt series notwithstanding, they have been able to make the play when it counts the most. They've been able to get that hit that has eluded LSU. They've made the outs on the mound. They've gotten off the field. LSU hasn't done that. Mizzou wins behind their pitching staff. Now, it's not always, it's not always cut and dry to just say they're dominant and LSU's going to have a hard time hitting. This is an opportunity. Both teams have to look at this and go, that pitching staff struggles, that pitching staff struggles. We should have an opportunity to swing the bats and score runs and maybe break out of a funk. Like, that's how LSU's offense should think. That's how Missouri's offense should think. And I'm sure that is how both of them are thinking. Like, I'm positive that's probably how both of them are thinking. Because, I mean, when I look at it, like, Missouri, against the top offenses that they faced in the conference, the most success they had on the mound was against Florida. And I know if you look at Florida's stats, the offense isn't going to jump off the page, but understand the talent that is in that lineup. Colby Shelton, Cade Curlin, Jack Caglione, Ty Evans. Like, we could go on and on and on and on and on. They allowed 6 runs in the first 2 games against that team. And that was Lunsford and then Pimentel, who you're going to see. Now, they gave up 10 in the finale, so Florida's offense finally broke through. Against Vanderbilt, they pitched very well. Contrary to what you saw in Baton Rouge, Vanderbilt's not a good offense. Okay, they're not. But that's that's when you'd expect a pitching staff to be able to have the upper hand, and Missouri did there. The next time they faced a really good offense was against Kentucky. Now, Kentucky's unconventional offensively, obviously, but they lead the SEC in conference play only in batting average, like even ahead of Tennessee, and they're top 4 overall in batting average. They lead the SEC in conference games only in runs. Like, Kentucky's a really good offense. And in 2 games against Mizzou, they scored 16 runs. That's a really big offensive output, 17 total for the series. That's also the other important thing. Missouri is the only team to beat Kentucky so far this year in conference play, and they swept Florida. Like, it hadn't been great for them, but, man, they've been able to rise to the occasion against some really good competition. Arkansas notwithstanding, Vanderbilt notwithstanding. But it is in there. You're going to get a really competitive effort from this Missouri team. And playing the defending national champions, it'll be no different. But what I'm getting at is, outside of Florida, when Missouri has faced good offenses, they've struggled on the mound. And I know what you're saying. LSU's not a good offense. And you're right. I get it. I'm just trying to illustrate the pitching staff is not infallible. I don't think any of us believe Arkansas is that good of an offensive club, right? Arkansas scored 8 runs, 6 runs, and then 9 runs. Can LSU replicate something similar to that? Sure. Like, again, I don't think any of us believe that Arkansas is a good offensive team. LSU is hitting for a better average in conference play than Arkansas. LSU has collected more extra base hits than Arkansas in conference play. The difference is LSU has lacked the big hit. Arkansas has gotten the big hit more, and that's why they've scored plenty more runs than LSU. But LSU's better than Arkansas in several categories in conference play. So that's my point. You see what Arkansas was able to do against this Missouri pitching staff. Can LSU's offense replicate that? I don't expect them to go out there and score, the 15 runs that Georgia did. Georgia's a great offensive ball club this year. But there is opportunity even against this Missouri staff. The thing that really worries me is, can LSU get over the hump? Can LSU make the plays in close games? Because I'm expecting close games here. Missouri has proven that they can in conference play. LSU has not proven that to the same level, and that is going to be the biggest matchup I'm watching in this series. Now, let's touch on a couple different individuals for Missouri, if we could, offensively and on the mound. Offensively for Missouri, their leading hitter overall is Jackson Lovich at 301. He's the only 300 hitter in the everyday lineup. This is a Missouri lineup that's tinkered a lot, kind of like LSU. There is one player that has played and started all 38 games, and that's Trevor Austin. We're going to get to him momentarily. But Jackson Lovich is the next best thing here outside of Trevor Austin. 301 average, leads the team overall, second in homers, second in RBI. When you look at Trevor Austin, the average is nothing to write home about, but he leads the team in homers with 9 and with RBI in 20 and RBI with 24. Now, if you want a guy to look out in conference play, that's JD Hernandez. Has really come on late. You look at him overall, he's played in only 26 games, but he's played in 14 of the 15 conference games. He's the leading hitter in conference play with a 288 average there. Brock Daniels is also a guy they've played a little bit in conference play that's hitting over 300. So those are really the guys I would tell you to definitely look out for offensively. One thing that's going to be a key in this game, in this series, I should say as well, for LSU is controlling the run game. Missouri is 4th in the SEC in stolen bases. They have swiped 52 bags in 63 attempts. Jarrett Curtis is the leading base stealer with 14 out of 16 attempts. And then Drew Culbertson, 9 out of 11. Brock Daniels, who we just mentioned, 6 out of 7. Like, they will run. They put it in motion. They very much try to manufacture runs, as you might imagine, with a struggling offense. You're starting to see LSU do a little bit more of that as well. So that's where we'll settle there on the offense. Pitching staff, a few guys to go ahead and look out for. We mentioned Carter Rustad. We'll see where he fits in, starter, reliever. However, it's a really good slider, and it's a nice fastball all from the right side. from him. Brock Lucas is really the top reliever, 11 appearances, all out of the bullpen, a 2.36 ERA. Can extend, can go short. He's just been really good. Where he gets into a little bit of trouble is walks. 18 walks for Brock Lucas in 26 and 2/3 innings. You know, you want to dig deeper on it and see, okay, was it one or two bad performances? You know, the answer is yes, in a sense. He walked 6 against Georgia. That's what really elevated it. But, I mean, he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games with multiple walks. So it is a bit of an issue for him, and that's where he gets into trouble. So file that away. Jacob Peden leads the team in overall appearances with 14 all out of the pen, an ERA just north of 4, Not overpowering stuff, a lot of strikes in the zone, and they've been hit. I mean, 284 is his batting average against. Looking a little deeper even than that, I'll tell you, Ryan Majdick is a guy they've used plenty in conference play and maybe not so much, overall on the season. 4 of his 9 appearances have been in the SEC, and he's been really good, and he's been able to extend as well. So 4 relief appearances in conference play, totaling 9 innings at an ERA of 1. That's somebody that I would tell you to absolutely keep an eye on. Great command so far in conference play, only 1 walk in those 9 innings and 13 strikeouts. Ryan Majdick has been awesome for Mizzou out of the bullpen in conference play. So really big draw, huge star around him. And then, I mean, the other 2 guys they've used the most are the ones we mentioned, Brock Lucas and Jacob Peden. So it's a ball club that really has been middle of the pack from a pitching standpoint in conference-only play, which I think stands to be a great test for an LSU offense that's trying to manufacture runs on the road in games that I think will be highly contested. So let's get into keys to victory and a series prediction. Keys to victory. Well, for the pitching staff, it doesn't change. Keep the leadoff man off base, get off the field with 2 outs. I want to also continue to see the young guys in the bullpen like Aiden Moffitt, like Cam Johnson, continue to take that next step and keep feeding me Sam Dutton. I think he's been awesome. Make the plays behind your pitcher. Defense is going to be huge in this series. LSU overall has been a fine defensive team. Overall. The problem is when the pressure's been on, they haven't responded well. Like when the opposition has put pressure on them with runners on base and whatnot, that's when they folded defensively. Missouri has struggled on defense. We said fielding 973. That's going to be near the bottom of the league. Defense is going to be huge. Which team can make the plays behind their pitcher? Because, again, there's going to be tipping points in these ball games. Offensively, can you continue to manufacture runs? Can you get the big hits? That is going to be what I want to see. Ultimately, that's the biggest key for me. Can LSU finally win close games this weekend? And maybe LSU goes out there and finds the offense and slugs. Maybe Missouri pitching has a really bad week. Maybe. But I'm kind of hoping that it'll be even more tightly contested. So we can see if LSU can make those swing plays and get over the hump and win, learn to win that tight game when something goes wrong against you, but it doesn't matter. You're able to overcome it. That's what I want to see from LSU. Series prediction time. There is really no good reason for me to do what I'm about to do. And it's been a long time since I've done what I'm about to do, but I'm going to pick LSU to win, and here's why. I like what I've seen from LSU's pitching staff the last 5 times out. Like until that 7th inning in the Sunday game against Tennessee, LSU had pitched lights out. So for the better part of the last 4.5 games, LSU's pitching has taken a step forward. If they continue that, and they should be able to against a struggling Missouri offense, LSU should be able to win on the back of their pitching like we all expected them to do for the majority of this season. That's why I like LSU to win this series. I think the game you saw against against UNO on Tuesday night is the blueprint for LSU this weekend and really kind of going forward. Do enough offensively and have good pitching. You're set up to be able to do that against this Missouri club. So, again, given what we've seen throughout the first 5 weeks, yep, it's hard to justify it, but I will take LSU to win 2 out of 3 against Missouri and finally break through in conference play in 2024. That's going to wrap it up. Y'all smash the like button on the way out. Get subscribed to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Get subscribed to the podcast network, on your favorite podcast network, I should say, if you haven't already. And keep it locked here. Musso at the Box. We got you covered wall to wall this weekend between LSU and Missouri. Come back next time.